There's different arguments to prove that Allah actually exists, to prove that God actually exists. One of my favourite arguments is the design argument. Now, Ali can speak to you guys about, whatever argument he, feels is very good. I like the design argument. For example, looking at anything here, I unintentionally didn't plan this. I just picked this up right now in front of me. If I was walking in a desert and I came across this contraption, I would not think that it just appeared there out of nowhere. Why?
Because it's a tripod and you have previous knowledge of tripods as well as other human-made instruments which share many of the features. An accurate analogy would be you are walking out in a forest somewhere and you found a stick. And at the end of the stick, it branched off in 3 different directions, allowing you to sort of prop it up, rather unevenly, but prop it up nonetheless. When your analogy presupposes the discovery of an object you know to be synthetic, you're already in trouble.
Because it's got design behind it. It moves,
It moves? That's how you identify design, apparently. Do tell me, how does the ability to move correlate in a causal manner with being created? Where is the link between the 2 statements you have asserted? If I were truly to come across some strange object, I would look for tool marks, signatures, and any small detail to suggest it had a synthetic origin, and I could always turn out to be wrong.
If someone told me, yo, this just came out of the blue and appeared out of nowhere, and it wasn't created by anyone, I would think you're silly because look, it functions, it does things.
Exactly. The fact that it has a red thing on each of it.
That's design. That's a pattern.
That's a pattern.
The fact that it says Manfrotto on it.
Yeah.
That's design.
Exactly. Yeah.
So everything that you see, every single thing on Earth is designed. If you saw this bottle of water so finely, the figure. I'm not speaking about a woman here.
Finely tuned.
So finely tuned, you would think, yes, this was made by a machine. If someone even told me this is handmade, I would be surprised. But it has to be made by someone.
Yeah, exactly. It was handmade.
It has to be made by someone. You're not going to get this. I mean, I don't know, even this on the floor, I don't know what this is doing on the floor. This is designed.
That's pattern.
It's a pattern. It's made by someone. It didn't just appear out of nowhere. Every single thing that we see and that we use on a daily is designed.
No. We use natural objects in day-to-day life, especially certain types of food, which evolved. As for patterns are not evidence of design, and if you want to assert such, then I expect you to demonstrate that causal link. Without said demonstration, all you are doing is relying on your say-so. That's it, and frankly, I don't give a rat's ass about your say-so. However, I'm still waiting for you to demonstrate how listing objects we know to be created proves that the universe was also created.
Now let me ask you a very, very, very simple question. You don't need to be a scientist. You don't need to be someone who studied to answer this question. It's a logical question. If a water bottle is designed and has a purpose, if this basic thing, a pen, is designed and has a purpose, then me and him, all of us who have a nose, who have eyes, who have a reproductive system, an intestine, all of these detailed things inside our bodies work in amazing ways. Are you telling me we're not designed and we aren't designed for a purpose? Does that make sense to you? That a pen has a purpose, but your 6-foot body that has an intestine in it, that has a reproductive system, that has different systems that it runs by every single day, was not designed? Like, really? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, that is the most scientifically and philosophically accurate position when we consider all available evidence, not a single piece of which, by the way, points to any form of divine cosmic creator. You merely wishing it on a star whilst repeatedly asking a question designed to make the most of the false analogy you concocted earlier does not change that fact in any way.
So for me, the fact that we have so much design around us, that in itself is Allah showing us that I am here, I exist. You see design all around you, you too are designed. You too have similarities. I have 2 eyes, he has 2 eyes. I have 1 nose, he has 1 nose.
Big one.
Yes, definitely.
What about those born with abnormal physiology? Are they designed, as you have asserted, in missing vital parts of their anatomy that will force them to undergo a lifetime of draining surgery and medication? Or are they the result of a faulty design? You see, if I take on your argument for a second and there really is a designer, he must either be monstrously cruel or humanly fallible. Those are your only 2 options. That is, of course, without looking at the poor state of the universe and, hell, even our little speck of a planet we call Earth. Now, you mentioned our reproductive organs as part of the supposed evidence for design. How then do you account for the high rates of death during pregnancy and childbirth? You see, even in the modern era where we have advanced medical methods seemingly to overcome the many observable flaws in your God's apparent design, even with these methods, over 300,000 people were thought to have died in 2015 from complications during pregnancy and childbirth by the World Health Organization. Your argument in 2 words: confirmation bias.
Our bodies work in a specific way, in an organized fashion.
Not always. But again, you've yet to demonstrate a link, a causal link between organization and design. We observe natural order all the time, and that is the result of chaos on repeat. A system temporarily reaches equilibrium, which allows for further systems to develop, to arise, and even if the initial equilibrium then collapses, whilst it may make the further systems unstable, they can actually survive beyond that. This is what we observe in biology with adaptation to shifting environments, which allows for new lineages of organisms to arise, to thrive in once unlivable conditions. Evolution makes do with what it has. It's not some mystical whim of design.
SubhanAllah, if we look at modern day science, so the sun, even if you look at the sun now, the sun is perfectly placed in its position. If the earth or if the sun was moved back, we would freeze to death. If it was moved closer to us, we would literally burn. It is perfectly placed in its position in the solar system. Are you telling me that that is all by chance? It's by chance, the positioning of the earth. All of these, when we look at the stars and we gather, what are they called, man? When people, astronomy, constellations. Are you telling me all of that's by chance? Are you telling me it's by chance that we have day and night? Are you telling me all of these things? You can't believe that a water bottle is by chance, but you can believe that all of these things, subhanAllah, in front of you, they are by chance.
That's my water, by the way.
Oh, is it? Oh, here you go.
Thanks.
Considering that all other planets in our solar system lack any form of life, yes, probability seems most likely. Why would a god create dead planets, and countless of them at that? Fact is, it's not just our solar system. We have countless galaxies, each made up of trillions of star systems. But even more damning is the fact that if you look at all the star systems which have a star approximately the same sort of size as the one we have, we find that between 30 and 14% of them have an Earth-like planet in their habitable zone when we account for the statistical error. That's a mean of 22%. A 1 in 5 chance for star systems like ours, of which there are countless of, to have a habitable planet. So yeah, probability is at the forefront as an explanation, and your personal lack of interest or even complete disdain for the natural science of astronomy does not in any way impact upon that fact. But returning to our planet, Terra, and the habitable zone around our sun, it's not a case of a few miles one way or another and then all life would cease to exist. When scientists investigate the habitable zone of our solar system, they discuss it in terms of astronomical units, a term which applies to just shy of 150 million kilometers or 93 million miles. It's exactly 149,597,870 kilometers. Our habitable zone starts near Venus and it extends beyond Mars. And a 2013 paper on the habitable zone of our solar system, which was later used as a model for other star systems, estimated a range between 0.75 astronomical units for the inner ring of the habitable zone and 1.77 astronomical units for the outer ring of the habitable zone. That's more than a full astronomical unit. 152,589,827 kilometers. Compare that to the width of our planet at merely 12,700 kilometers, and you get the picture. You could fit over 10,000 Earths side by side orbiting the Sun within the habitable zone, and you'd have room to spare. So don't pretend like we're talking a few odd kilometers either side, as you have disingenuously suggested. As for day and night, it's called planetary rotation. They teach this to little children in play school, so none of your points stand any sort of basic scrutiny. It really is quite laughable.
Now, things about to get real. Now, if you think about it, yeah, look, we have fitra. Fitra is our innate disposition, yeah? Okay.
Please, no, not this again. I'm getting sick and tired of blowing apart lying scumbags on the apparent innate belief in God. It gets really boring, as unlike discussions on fine-tuning where there's so much to be pointed out, so much to potentially cover, here I only have so much I can work with. Likely you've picked up Ayera's lies about Petrovich and Barrett, and you're about to regurgitate them, and I'm going to show you that none of this has any scientific basis whatsoever.
Everyone in the world, we can say majority, even atheists. I believe atheists believe in a creator. They believe in
deep down, yeah.
Yeah.
Deep down, 100%.
No, when I mean like deep down, yeah, obviously when they're on the plane, when the plane starts shaking.
No, that's why we invented parachutes. You're just a talking head who wouldn't recognise honesty if it sat him down and gave him a month-long lecture on the ethics of discussion. You say atheists believe in God, prove it. Actually, prove it. My advice is stop running your mouth with assertions your willfully dull mind could never hope to prop up with actual evidence, as people like me will come along and eat you up.
Besides that, they worship something, yeah? Every individual has to have a creator. You can't deny the creator. If you look at Christian, Hinduism, majority of the population of the world believe in a higher being. What does that show you?
That for untold thousands of years, modern Homo sapiens lacked the knowledge, the understanding, the philosophy and methodology which we have today. That in their ignorance they invented myths, many of which do not have some singular all-powerful creating being at the forefront, by the way, which poorly attempted to explain the origins of our planet and sometimes the universe. Along with this, most cultures believe that the sun circled around the Earth. Does that make such ignorance true?
That shows that the innate disposition, the fitrah, turns to a higher being. Yes, they turn to a higher being. However, some people change. Like, for example, something is Jesus, something is Ganesh, some people think it's the sun, some people think it's the moon. But one thing that all of them have in common is that they have a desire and turn to a higher intelligence. Yeah. What we say in Islam, we worship the one that created Jesus, moon, the sun, whatever you're worshipping. Yeah. But the reason why I'm giving these examples is that majority of the religions, even though they're worshipping false deities, but the inclination of worshipping a god is there. Yeah. But the fitrah has deviated to a different path. So what we say is with our friends, like there's evidence to the ones who say, for example, prove to me there's God. We say, no, you prove that there is no God. The evidence is on you. The burden is on you.
No. The burden of proof rests solely on the person making the claim. When you assert X exists, you must demonstrate that X exists. Your wishes to rewrite the basic lessons taught to us by philosophy seeks only to plunge humanity into another dark age where your willful ignorance can thrive like some phantom, kept well away from the light of self-enlightenment. That is your desire, a desire I firmly stand in opposition to.
Yeah, because
yes, imagine this here. Let's use our rationality and logic. We're human beings that we have rationality and logic, yeah? If you go home and you see a plate smashed on the floor, you use your rationality and your logic to come to basic conclusions. What is it? You come home, plate smashed on the floor. Okay. Do I have a pet at home? Yes, I do. Okay, it could be the pet. Maybe a little earthquake happened. Was the window open? Yeah, maybe the wind blew and the plate smashed. Maybe I placed it in a certain place where it slipped off. These are the possibilities that your brain comes with.
Washing machine, for example.
Washing machine was shaking, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your brain doing? Your brain's absorbing the information, using your rationality to come to logical assumptions. Yes? Or the best possible explanation. Yeah. You don't come home and see a plate smashed on the floor and go, maybe it was a blue dragon. Maybe a elf who works for Father Christmas ran out, came to my house. It sounds crazy, yeah, but sadly. Would you ever believe that? No. Because you think, it doesn't make sense.
But that's exactly what your religion is. Your God is the blue dragon, whilst the God of Christianity is the elf. You have just defined your entire position as well as the positions of every theistic religion out there and then acknowledged that the conclusions are invalid. Therefore, if you had any intellectual honesty or consistency, you would abandon your raw assertions for God, which assert magical claims without any evidence whatsoever. But I doubt you are actually honest or consistent.
I come with the best possible explanation. We say good. Okay, let's not use double standards. We say to our atheist friends. So we say to our atheist friends, let's use the same rationality, same logic that we all have universally, and be consistent in that. So when I come to you guys and say, look, I have a piece of paper on my left hand and a mobile phone on my right hand, yeah? So when I come to an atheist and say, look, if you was to pick one, which one would you go with that you would say that seems a more higher chance that it's designed, yeah? Would you go with the tissue or the mobile phone? He'll say mobile phone, yeah? I'll say, okay, if I put the mobile phone on my left, and let's say the universe, yeah? Which one would you go with that is more likely that's designed, yeah? Obviously, both of them are designed, but if you was to pick one, you would go with the universe. Why? Because your rationality, your logic that you're using gives you the best possible explanation of, yes, of course the phone, the little paper you have in your hand, it's not as complex as the phone. The phone is not as complex as the universe, yeah? Why? Because you are coming to that conclusion that that's more designed. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yes, you're not even attempting to make an argument, but instead you have resorted to outright lying as you shirk the burden of proof. There's nothing about the universe that screams design, and your personal assertion that it does is an assertion in need of demonstration. The two are not the same. As I said earlier, I really don't give a rat's ass about your personal say. I care only about what you can actually show us. We see a universe that is mostly empty, chaotic and random, save a few isolated pockets with just enough order for complex systems to build up over time. What about that suggests design just escapes me, let alone the design of some all-powerful and all-knowing being. This assertion can only be designed as a reassurance for the devoutly deluded, as it'll have no impact on people with a basic level of education.
And even if we said to you guys, yeah, they might say, yeah, but I know iPhone is made in a factory, yeah? I can go and have a look. The question here is this: have you gone and have you gone to the factory and had a look? No, you haven't. So and even if you didn't, are you telling me that the fact that we all didn't go to the factory and look at the iPhone's made, we're going to deny that the iPhone is designed?
No, because you can see, it's obvious.
Exactly. But even if you didn't go to the factory...
You'd be stupid to say it's not.
Okay, even if you didn't go to the factory, would you still say, okay, I have to go to the factory to see it, to establish it? No. What do you do? Exactly. Just the way you saw the plate smash on the floor, you came to basic conclusions, yeah?
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you. So what we're saying is, the universe is more complex, yeah?
Yeah.
So, if the phone has a designer, a creator, whatever it may be, then how could you say the universe doesn't? There's no consistency.
It doesn't make sense.
Because I am not scientifically illiterate, like yourselves have been proven to be on a repeated basis. I know factories exist. I have seen them. But even if I hadn't for mobiles, I can use my knowledge that factories exist and have been shown to exist, that people have been shown to exist as well. I can call upon this as evidence for mobile production. There are so many things I can do that makes it possible. You, on the other hand, have yet to prove your God exists, like the factories, like the people. Therefore, it is nothing like the analogy you are attempting to construct. You need to prove that God exists to assert that God created the universe, else you have rejected reality. You've just purged yourself of any desire to learn in a mad scramble to preserve your beliefs by keeping your mind in darkness, which is why you get incredibly angry when I try to shine a light on said beliefs. 2 words and your religion is crippled. Just 2 little words. Prove it.
Exactly. So there's hypocrisy. So
our body is so much more detailed.
Exactly.
The way you think,
yes.
your eyesight.
Bro, are you mad?
Bruv, your eye is... compared to a camera. You would say a camera... Bro. 1 second. The camera I recorded this with is designed.
Yeah.
It's obvious. You would say I'm stupid if I said that. My eye, are you saying my eye that can see much better than this camera, that can focus much better than this camera?
By chance. Yeah,
it came out of nowhere.
Exactly.
What about night vision? Can you see in the dark? Or how about infrared? What about distant celestial bodies? You are able to see those, aren't you? No? Well, that's because you're talking utter bollocks. Your eyes may be superior in 1 or 2 ways, but in countless more they are actually pretty damn poor. Who designs a bloody camera with a dirty film over the lens? Because that is what our eye involves with the blood vessels over the front rather than at the back of the eye. Also, it's only a matter of time before those cameras supersede our current visual capabilities in those few elements the eye does better. What then? Does this argument lose its potency at that moment, or did it never have any potency to begin with? We've had a couple of centuries of modern science to replicate what evolution managed to achieve across billions of years, and already we are catching up. We already have robotic eye transplants, so it's only a matter of time. Fact is, our eyes deteriorate, they're easily damaged and can be blighted by various diseases and parasites. Not to mention countless other animals have eyes which are far superior to ours. How does your God model of design explain that fact if we are the supposed perfect creation? It doesn't really, does it now? Either way, I suggest looking up transhumanism because the future holds a lot of potential.
Second, that's one argument, yeah? Okay, that they can't deny. Second argument, yeah? Book. Book has information, yeah? This is information, yes? Information. When you see information, what does that say? There's what behind this book?
There's a mind behind it.
Intelligence.
Yeah.
Intelligence, yeah?
It, yeah.
By looking at these words, you're like, okay, look, information, yeah? Okay,
Yeah,
that's information. Okay,
Yeah.
there's something going on here. There must be intelligence behind it.
Yes.
A DNA. One cell in a DNA. Do you know how bloody... Every single book on this planet, get it together, put it together, it is not equivalent to one cell. The information, one cell. Do you know what one cell is? Your brain
You know
will
how
stop.
big one cell is?
Exactly. So look at the consistency. Book, information, has to have intelligence. We say to our atheist friends, DNA, yeah? Firstly, they don't even accept it. We say, where does DNA come from? Oh, we don't know, yeah? It came from nothing, yeah. But one cell, yeah? If you knew how DNA works, one cell has enough information that if you put all the books on this planet together,
crazy.
it doesn't. And we say,
Crazy.
what is that from? Oh, chance. Once again, not consistency.
First of all, DNA is not made up of cells. Rather, cells contain DNA, so your statement
One cell in a DNA.
proves right off the bat that you don't have the slightest clue as to the nature of cellular and molecular biology. Fact is, DNA is not information like a book. It's a chemical structure. We, as human beings who use information, come along, observe that structure, and then transcribe it into information in the exact same way we transcribe the physical properties of a 3D shape with measurements on height, width, length, weight, etc. That does not make the shape we transcribe information. Sure, the chemicals read in a specific order, as with all systems at any level. But that chain of molecules is not perfect and unchangeable. It's affected by environmental conditions like any other natural feature. It evolves, as we can observe with mutation. Of course, yes, you can run to the corners of ignorance when it comes to science. But all that's going to happen then is, years down the line, you're going to be swept up as science comes in. Because when it comes down to it, all this is a God of the gaps. This is nothing new. It's an argument from incredulity. I don't understand, so nobody can understand. It's a logical fallacy with no actual basis in discussion. Your willful ignorance is not ours. Simple as.
So what we say is there's enough information. Once again, you can go and watch our videos on Speaker's Corner. Can the universe come from nothing? No way. Can it create itself? How can something create itself? It has to be there and not be there at the same time. It cannot come from nothing. They say time, yeah? I'm just quickly going to wrap up, yeah? Time. Let me give you an example, yeah? This glass. They say if you give it enough time, it will happen. This glass, if I say to you guys, let's give this glass 1 billion trillion quadrillion years. If we give it enough time, would we get an elephant with a chocolate cheesecake with extra strawberries on it?
No.
No, because the elements to make that is not in there. So giving it infinite amount of time, it doesn't change anything. So time doesn't do it.
No, this is simply an argument from hindsight. You demand arbitrary qualities from that cup which have no relation to anything. The same was not true for our universe coming to exist in this form. The universe was simply me drawing a million cards after shuffling each time and jotting down what I got, ace of spades, three of hearts, etc. And then you come along and go, aha, you got exactly this combination out of those million cards, which the odds of are incredible. Therefore, you must have cheated. No, I simply wasn't trying for that combination. You only came in afterwards and made the claim I was. Fact is, if that were the case, that the universe was set to exist in exactly this way, then that would disprove your God as being all-powerful. They'd no longer have the capacity to act on their autonomy. they'd merely be a victim of a greater force and thus become indistinguishable from said force, finally destroying your God in any sense of the word. So thank you for supplying such a self-defeating argument. As for self-formation, you can have a self-forming God, then I can have a self-forming universe. But the fact is, the self-forming universe has greater philosophical standing. Why? Because when you assert a self-forming God, you assert the existence of a God. When I assert a self-forming universe, I don't have to assert a universe, do I?
Yeah. Infinite does not exist in the real world. Any atheist watching this, write down the number infinite for me. Show me, say it's infinite. Exactly, so it has to be created.
Pop quiz. Which of these religions defines their deity/deities as being infinitely powerful? A. Vedic Hinduism, B. the Greek pantheon, C. Islam, and lastly D. the Nordic pantheon. What is up with you? Why are you doing my work for me?
And obviously, going on from that, if there is a creator, which we have established, it only makes logical sense that there is, then that creator would have sent us something to live by.
Yes.
Which us as Muslims believe is the Qur'an. There's many reasons as to why we believe it's the Qur'an. We can go into that into another video.
Yes.
The amount of miracles, historical miracles, the amount of facts, everything in the Qur'an, subhanAllah, even the way in which it's written, the structure, the fact that after every single thing that, for example, after Alif Lam Ra, Alif Lam Mim, Alif Lam Ra, Tilka Ayatul Kitab al-Mubin, yeah, Alif Lam Mim, Dhalika al-Kitabu la rayba fi. After these are different verses, and Allah's talking about His Kitab after each one of them. Yeah. Subhanallah. There's so many miracles, the structure, everything.
And
subhanallah.
It tests those. If you think this is other than a book, bring a chapter like it. Okay, now you might say it's not fair. We know the Arabic language. Okay, Allah says show a contradiction, show error.
So there's the Qur'an. We live by the Qur'an. This is why we believe in the Qur'an and the prophets. So that's it in a nutshell, guys. If you have these doubts from the shaitan, don't think that, oh, it's something that is abnormal. Shaitan messes with you sometimes because
shaitan will come to us.
Yeah. Sometimes shaitan will mess with you because he knows that maybe this will get to you and whatnot. Yeah. Trust me, there's an answer to a lot of the questions that you have. Yeah. Just because you don't know it or just because you haven't thought of it in the way you should be thinking of it doesn't mean it's not there. Yeah.
I really wish you kept that last sentence in mind every time you spewed your scientifically illiterate drivel all over the ground at Speaker's Corner, not to mention the internet. The projection on your part throughout this entire video has left my irony with such a brutal pounding that it shall never likely be repaired. But time for a little recap. So in first dealing with the argument from design or the fine-tuning argument as laid out by Musa Adnan, you made the mistake of believing that the assertion that the universe is designed is evidence of God rather than an assertion in itself in dire need of evidence, specifically that a universe designer exists. You believe you need to prove design to claim a designer. The problem is that the easiest way to do that is to demonstrate that the designer exists. That's the only way to be reasonably sure. And you see, this is where we see the circular nature of the argument from design, where God needs to be proven in order to use the argument to prove God. It just goes around. God exists and is the creator of the universe. Why? Well, because the universe clearly has a creator. Why? Well, because God exists and is the creator. Why? Well, because the universe clearly has a creator. It's like a bloated Ouroboros filled with dishonesty, word salad, and a mass helping of pig shit. Moving on to Ali Dawah, we glanced past the scientifically void claims surrounding the fitra before becoming distracted with repeating the same old rubbish supplied by Musa Adnan. We then got flarings or small quibbles designed to distract a person from the gaping chasm labelled any evidence in support of Islam, which has begun to consume the Islamic world as education improves in many parts of the world. As for refuting the Qur'an, among many of the scientific errors, it makes the claim that the sun sets in a muddy pool on Earth. Do I need to say more? It really is sad to see that even with the access to such an incredible amount of knowledge, there are those among us who have chosen to reject the evidence. With this, they not only reject reality, but have decided to wallow in the filth of their own dishonesty like pigs as proud as can be with the mess they've made all over the shiny, sterile carpet of science. Disagree? How about you supply some actual evidence for once in your life, rather than asserting one thing after another? I imagine I'll be waiting here for quite some time. There are a few things which I'd just like to add here at the end of this video. The first is a massive thank you to everyone who has ever donated to me via Patreon. Your fantastic support has given me the ability to keep this channel going, and I hope to continue producing content in the years to come. Secondly, I would like to thank anyone who has ever interacted with this channel. Your shares, likes and dislikes, as well as your comments of both approval and disapproval, have ensured constant feedback, allowing me to improve my work. Last of all, I would like to express my desire that you treat any of the people displayed throughout the video with respect. Whilst it is true that ideas do not demand respect, and there are many in fact which deserve reprehension, we must be careful on how we tackle said ideas in ensuring we are not simply targeting the person. In short, be the compassionate side of reason. So take care, and I'll see you next time.